from South Africa, and we have a very diverse country in terms of climate and soils, people even. And our soils differ in terms of the level of weathering. We have a lot of sandy soils, and we only have about 13% of our soils that are actually potentially arable. And of that, only about 10% are being cultivated. So, along with degradation, and we have two different land tenure systems in South Africa. We have the commercial land tenure system, where an individual would own farmland and manage it accordingly. And we also have communal land tenure systems, where a chief or a tribal authority would be the owner of the land, and individuals would have usage rights on that land, but they would not actually have title deeds or individual ownership. Erosion, water erosion, I think that's always one of the first degradation types that comes to mind, because it's something that you see visually. But by the time erosion has taken place, there are all kinds of other chemical and physical degradation aspects that have already happened. So in terms of soil physics, we struggle with soil crusting, compaction and sealing. And because we are mostly a dryland country, our rainfall average for the country is about 500 millimeters. So retaining soil water is very important for us. In addition, the soil chemical aspect is mostly under fertilization, especially also in the communal areas where financial inputs and fertilizers are in low supply. And historically, we've also had over-fertilization, especially of inorganic nitrogen, which has led to acidification in a lot of the areas. And then, of course, low soil organic matter content is one of our biggest problems, which if we can address that, then we will automatically improve many of the other degradation aspects as well. We have a lot of good technologies, but the adoption of the technologies are a challenge. And also, I think the risk of changing the technologies. I think for a lot of farmers, historical cultivation practices, which are mostly conventional, are easier because they are used to the systems, the production systems. So when they change, well, normally in South Africa, we see minimum tillage, sort of the conservation agriculture umbrella, as one of the biggest vehicles for sustainable soil management. But in order to do that, the farmers need to change their implements, they need to change their management practices. It becomes more intensive. So obviously it could be intimidating for farmers to learn a new structure, and yields might go down initially through the testing phases and getting into the cycle. So, and it takes time for farmers to really get into the new system. So the risks are a bit higher. But I think definitely adoption of these conservation practices and increased soil protection measures are very important in South Africa. Yes, I do think so. I think especially in South Africa, communal development and upliftment of the rural communities is very important, and food security is also an issue. In the latest report, we've discovered that about 32% of our children are either hungry or at risk of hunger. So food security is important, and obviously soil management is one of the basic principles of ensuring food security. So it is definitely a high priority in South Africa. Although, if the importance of food security is not fully understood and realized, then obviously soils suffer accordingly. I think, for interest's sake, I think the technological age has made living a lot easier in South Africa as well, because a lot of things are more attainable and easier obtainable. So I think there's the perception that agriculture and food products doesn't necessarily come from hard work and from the land. There might be a perception that you just go to the shops to buy your groceries. So. I think definitely networking between the different countries, regions and countries. I think one of the things that were mentioned after the launch of the partnership last year was that there is a lot of data available nationally or internationally, and there is a lot of expertise, but people do tend to work in silos. And if you consider intellectual property and selling of data, etc., there's a lot of information, but it's not accessible to everyone. And I think everybody's not aware of what work has been done. And I think a partnership like this could assist in really getting to the root causes of soil degradation and addressing the causes instead of only the symptoms, because only that way will we be able to manage the soil sustainably.